starting the recording, and so we'll start with this presentation, and I'll start sharing the screen, and then we'll deal with the presentation that you've prepared for this very class. So I would like you to look at these slides, and do you see anything?
Yes, ma'am. Unit 2 working.
Yes,
Okay.
working in January.
So before we listen to what you've prepared for this class, I would like you to focus on some moments or some comments on homework that you've done for this class. Well, the task was to work with the future, so with the online course English for Healthcare on the platform futurelearn.com, and so you've sent me the results. I asked you to send me the screenshot, and I would like to comment on the screenshots to make it clear how the screenshots should look like, so I can evaluate your work. So I mean, this is on this slide I presented so the wrong way to present the screenshot. I mean that I asked you to make the screenshot so that I can see the first letters of your name in the right upper corner. Here I don't see these letters, so it's okay that you've taken the photo from the computer screen, and it's good that you've given your name here on the photo. But anyway, I'm not sure that this is your work, that this is your screenshot, your picture, because
It's mine on.
no evidence on this.
Actually, yes, ma'am. I'll check. Next time I'll make it clear, ma'am.
It's okay for the first time. It's okay. The same. This is the screenshot from the phone, and so here in the right upper corner we can see so this square, but it's not shown on the screenshot. That is why if we move to the next slide, this is the correct way to present the screenshot. I mean, you may do like this, send the screenshot and add the name. Yes. So here we can see two letters that stands for the first and second name, AS, and the name of the person is given here. And or also you can do like put in your name on the screenshot, and we can also see letters like Musharif, why Musharif? Because
It's Muhammad Musharif.
I see, Mohammed Musharif. I see. That is why So, so this is the proof that this screenshot belongs to these people. You see, this is the common sense logic. So, and it's, I think it's obvious. So please, next time do like this. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And now we are moving to the next task, which you were given, next assignment about culture projects. And here we are going to listen to the information about three projects, like the first is body language in your culture. Then a patient-centered approach in history taking, and the third one is Calgary-Cambridge method. So let's get started with with the body language in your culture. And so Manish, you've sent me this presentation and I can find it here in my computer. Yes, this is English task group 1. That was the name of the presentation. Just a minute. So, this is about Calgary-Cambridge method. And there is another one, Culture Project 1. Yes, this is group 2. And sharing the screen, and here we are. And as I see, there are 5 speakers here: Manish, Mayuka, Abi.
Sai Bhargavi, Afnan, and Venkata Sai Sohita.
Okay, thank you. And we start from the beginning. And so you can start presenting the information. And please tell me when should I move to the next slide, okay?
Yeah, good morning, ma'am. We have presented our culture project 1. The subgroup members are Manish, Mayuka, Sai Bhargavi, Afnan, and Sohita. Can we move to the next slide? Body language and gestures. Body language is a type of non-verbal communication where physical expressions and behaviors like our body posture, facial expressions, touch, etc. are used to convey the information. For example, a person using his hands while explaining something. Gestures are also a type of non-verbal communication where we use our hand or face to communicate. For example, waving our hand or shake hand. I would like to ask Afnan to continue the next slide now.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Afnan. I will continue with body language and gestures. And the difference between gesture and the body language is that gestures are mostly intentional, ma'am. And body language and gestures in India are very important. Sometimes they help us understand a person's unspoken words. We will see the examples like in the next slide, ma'am. In the first picture, the picture shows Namaste. This is the way of greeting people respectfully at any time in our culture. And the second picture shows the touching elders' feet. Usually, when we meet elders in our family, we will show some respect towards them, and we bend down and touch their feet, seeking their blessings, ma'am. Next slide, ma'am.
From here, I'll continue. Indian cultures differ from how Indian gestures and Indian culture differ from others. For example, in India, it is considered that in India, it is considered left hand using left hand is disrespectful, especially when you're taking money from someone. We can't take it or give it from left hand, and eating with the left hand also is not a good thing in India. And touching other opposite gender is also considered as a displaying affection in opposite gender. It is also considered bad in India. Can you change the slide? The other thing is sitting posture. Like we cannot sit our legs crossed in front of elders. It is considered as rude and disrespectful towards elders. And fourth thing is pointing finger. In India, we can't point a finger at something. It is considered as rude. You can show this like you can show with your hands, but you can't point with only one finger. I would like to hand over it to Mayuka.
Good morning, ma'am. Now I'll continue. Fields where non-verbal communication is important. Understanding non-verbal communication is required in every field. Like example, a lawyer or a policeman can guess if a person is guilty or not by observing their body language, by observing the person. And salesmen can tell if their customer is really interested in buying their product or they just want to know a product specifications. Ma'am, can you change this slide? And even teacher can tell if their student is really listening or faking it by observing their posters in the class. And dancers express themselves using non-verbal communications and give us a message through it. Now, Soita will continue, ma'am.
Can you change the slide, ma'am? So we would like to conclude by telling that body languages and gestures are very important. They tell us about unspoken words of some people, and in some places gestures and body language differ from place to place. For example, like in India, it is if you show your hand like this, it means you're inviting someone, but in some other place it might be offensive. So it's always better to do your own research before going somewhere. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. It was rather informative, and I've learned something new from the speakers. Well, if we move to so just a minute, if we move to the presentation like this one. So let us focus on the criteria. So do you see?
No,
Do you see?
ma'am.
The
No?
screen sharing has stopped, ma'am. Actually.
What should I do? Okay. Let's enter one more time. Mhm. Do you see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I would like you to think about to evaluate the presentation that we've listened to, and here are some criteria for evaluating group presentations. You can see that there are several just aspects, and so what they stand for. If we evaluate the content, we should ask the question, is the presentation informative and interesting? If we evaluate an organization, we answer the question, is the material organized logically? Then delivery. Are the speakers talking about the slides rather than simply reading them to the audience? Visual aids. Do the visuals help illustrate the important points? Do visuals use keywords or graphs instead of sentences? And the last one is the overall impact is, was there a clear thesis or point to the presentation? So remembering these criteria, the students from the other groups, can you say something about the presentation? Can you evaluate the presentation and share your impression, your opinion about the presentation, please?
The first one, ma'am.
Yes, the presentation that we have already seen, we just watched. So what do you think of the presentation? How can you evaluate this presentation? Can you give any recommendation? So, is the question clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is your opinion about this presentation? I mean, the presentation about using body languages and gestures. What do you think?
Well, ma'am, for me, I think the summary of this was as we are living in different cultures. So if we are using some body gestures in one culture, so in another culture, it's kind of abusive, while in the same culture, it's kind of a positive thing to do. The one main thing is that I have learned from this presentation. The other thing is that there are some good and bad things that we can do by showing gestures. And gestures and body language is one of the main thing for communication. Beside using verbal things, as body language also plays important role in cultures.
You are speaking about the content, what you've learned from this presentation. What about the delivery, visuals, organization? What can you say?
I think it was kind of, they were just a little bit reading from the PPT. If they could just explain it more, and it would be better.
Yes, this is your recommendation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Anyone else would like to say something? Okay, so no one. I see. Okay, good. So I can agree with the speaker. I mean, with the evaluation of the presentation. So, and one more remark. When you use some material that this is not your material, I mean, you didn't invent the information yourself. It's a good idea to use some reference on the slide. So what kind of resources you used in while preparing this presentation, okay? And so, well, and we can move to the next presentation, and so we can move to, where is it? This one. So, which is called Calgary-Cambridge method. And so the three students here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you start, please?
Good morning, ma'am. And my assignment Calgary-Cambridge method, and my group mates is Pradeep Kumar and Bhuvanesh. Can you change the slide, ma'am? The importance of communication in obtaining good health outcomes is well known, and communication is a teachable skill and which is incorporated in the training of medical professionals at tertiary institutions worldwide. And the teaching of communication skill is often based on models of communication. And ma'am, can you change the slide? Ma'am, can you change the slide? Thank you. The Calgary-Cambridge model is presented in 3 diagrams, which aims to enhance communication skills, training visually and conceptually. The medical interview as a sequential 5-step process. First one, initiation of the session, and second one, gathering information, and third one, physical examination, and fourth one, explanation and planning, and last one, closing the session. Ma'am, can you change the slide? And gathering information is the process skills for exploration of the patient's problem. First one, patient's narrative, question style, open to closed cone, and attentive listening, facilitative response, picking up cues, clarification, and time forming. Content to be discovered, the biomedical purpose disease and sequence of events and symptom analysis, relevant system review, and the patient perspective and the ideas and beliefs and concerns, expectations, effects on life, feeling. And background information contains past medical history, drug and allergy history, family history, and personal and social history review of systems. Ma'am, can you change the slide? Ma'am, Pradeep will continue.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. I would like to tell the initiating the session. It's a greets patient and obtains patient's name, introduces self and clarifies role. The demonstrated interest and respects attendance to patient's physical comfort, and attentively to the patient opening statement without interrupting or directing patient's response. Confirms list and screens for further problems. Example, so that the headaches and tiredness in investment. It's a negotiates taking both patient and the physician needs to an appointment. Then it's time. When can you gathering information? It encourages patient to tell the story of the problem from when first started to the present in our own words. Closed questions techniques. It's appropriately moving from open to closed. And listening, listens alternatively allowing the patient to complete statements without interruption and leaving space for the patient to think before answering or go on after pausing. Can you change the slide? Bonus will continue.
Yes, ma'am. When we are explaining the condition to a patient, we have to first analyze that situation, which we have listened from the patient, that what has the problem raised for him, and we should ask for an extra information that he is want to say about that, and then any other prior knowledge for that, and we have to analyze the final condition, and then any helpful information from that has to analyze, and then finally we has to explain the condition of that, and we has to plan for it, and then next step as to physician has to do that, some explaining possible unexpected outcomes, what to do if the plan is not working, and how to seek help. And then next slide, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And then when we're closing, the brief explanation has to give to that, and we have to clarify that what are the conditions for him. Yes, ma'am, that's all.
Okay. So the students from the other groups, what is your opinion about this presentation? Who is eager to speak? So, yes.
In the beginning, picture was not clear, ma'am. First or second slide, I guess.
See. Now, why do you think it's not clear? What would you
Ma'am,
recommend to make it more easy to understand? What kind of recommendation would you give?
It would be better if they'd include the picture information along with what they are speaking.
Or yes.
For me, there's, I think, too much information, but too much less explanation, too less explanation. I think they should explain it in a proper way. Like it's difficult to understand it as there are so many difficult words in it.
Let's see. Anything else? Any more comments? Okay. As for me, I would agree that so we need to more detailed explanation of what is given on the slides. The students were reading from the slides, but they didn't just explain the graphs which are given here on the slides. It would be better if you do this. And yes, it looks like a one and the same design of several slides, and so we need to some kind of illustrations to make it easier to understand. Okay, so but anyway, it was rather informative, and I have a question about to the students of who have prepared this presentation. The method that you were speaking about is called Calgary-Cambridge method. Why is it why does it have such a name? Why is it called Calgary-Cambridge? How Cambridge is involved in this method? Can anyone answer this question? No one. Thinking logically, I can guess that the method was developed somewhere in Cambridge, yes, in this place at this university, and maybe like this. Okay. And so let us, do we have the other presentation, I mean, patient-centered?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and how can we get access to this presentation, to these slides? Who was responsible for that presentation?
Can I screen share, ma'am?
So you have this presentation on your computer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, and so will you help me with the, what should I do?
Is it visible?
Ma'am, you can enable the screen sharing so that they can share their PPT on the screen.
Just a minute. Well. Okay.
So this is the presentation of subgroup 1. It includes 5 members, but one is absent as he was not feeling well. So let's start from the first slide. Our presentation is about patient-centered approach, like how we can approach to patients while examining them or treating them, because it's one of the basic factors as we know that the patient is expert of his or her own disease. He may know better about his health. So in order to get out information from him, the doctor should, show more empathy. He should include his family members, and he should take out all the basic information from the patient by approaching him in a different kind of manners and ways, and comforting him that if you can cooperate with me, then it will be easy for the doctor to treat the patient. So it also includes holistic approach, which is a kind of combined approach, social, economical, mental approach, including his family members and taking decision by including his family members. So whatever is easier for the patient, the doctor tried to look at every angle so that we could ease our patients. Then we have some social, physical, and economic factors which the doctor really knows, and through which he took out the basic information, his history about his mental health, the disease he got, or what is the basic problem which took him to the hospital. Then the doctor show more empathy so that the patient could get comfortable with the doctor and discuss whatever might be the problem he's having. And the patients are more likely to comply with treatment if the doctors show more positive response to the patient. And the doctors are more responsive to patient cues. Then we have this in the second slide, we also have that a patient-centric approach to medicine, which is also another kind of approach in which the healthcare providers, they develop proper kind of partnership between the practitioners, patients, and their families in order to recover them from any kind of diseases they get, and to give them the best treatment. Whether these practitioners are doctors, nurses, or technicians, they all play their role. And the goal is to align all healthcare recommendations with the patient desires, needs, and preferences. So all of these practitioner doctors and nurses, they are responsible in order to comply with the patient. Now I will hand over the third slide to Vidya. She will present this.
Here, patient-centered care includes many things that they also take care about mission and their values aligned with patient goals. And they also care about collaborate, coordinate, accessible, and physical comfort and emotional well-being are top priorities. And also it has the patient and family viewpoints, and they are respected, valued. And patient and family always included in decisions, and family welcome in care setting, full transparency and fast delivery of information it has. And next slide. Next slide. In healthcare person-centered is where the patients actively participate in their own medical treatment in close cooperation with the health professionals. The person-centered model of healthcare with severe illness, they can do that. Now I would like to hand over to Lahari now.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, in this person-centered care, there are 4 vantage points which constitute the foundation of a person-centered care. That these 4 are like the healthcare should be based on the unique persons who needs which his or her right to health. The health institution should focus on the abilities of the person and encourage activity. The healthcare should be coherent. And the last one is health professionals should always approach patients with a dignity, compassion, and respect. they should work with an ethical perspective. So now I will hand over to Reena ma'am. The next slide.
The concept of person-centered care is, first of all, it is the action between the patients and the doctors. It is clearly distinguished that the traditional and the treatment of newly formed ma'am, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, continue, please.
Traditional treatment models which view the patient as a passive receiver, and medical interventions which we take newly in this generation as from ancient to the new model. Many of health professionals are traditionally focused on the need of the patient instead of their resources, and rather than the conventional way of making medical recommendations from the health profession for a patient. The person-centered care concept involves a partnership between the healthcare professionals and the patients and the relatives, with the starting point in the medical history of the patient. This all perspective of life situation of the patient is considered to create objectives and strategies for both short and long-term monitoring. This whole process is responsible for their own health and their treatment. Next slide. First of all, patient-centered care delivery means we should take care that how the effectiveness we show to the patient and how their feedback it is. And it has the system leader and accountable for developing and improving care model that enhance the patient experience and outcomes, how the patient is responding after we giving such treatments. Afterwards, we should be give them the operation